Evening, everyone. It's 5:45 on Thursday, the 10th, and this is your closing comment. It is video number 1184, and I remind you, hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, and the notification bell, and you will see everything that we put out. Okay, so the market was soft today, primarily on the CPI information, the claims continuing and initial were pretty much both in line, so nothing special. But the CPI being up 7.9 is the highest number since 1982, and that's a problem. It's also a problem because that was last month's number, and as you can see by the chart on the screen, while we are at the low end of this for this week, we have been substantially higher, and as the prices for things like gasoline and food go up very fast and come down very slowly. So the Dow was down about 400 at the low, closed down 112 or 0.34%. That's kind of at the upper end of the range, and I just want to give you a brief look at it because it was an inside day, meaning a higher low and a lower high. I'm going to get rid of the Bollinger Bands. We don't need them anymore. Okay, so, we're in this area where we've stopped a few times. This is the 1 year. Let's look at a 3 year. As you can see, we're in the area of the most recent big breakout after this running correction here above 32,000. So we've stopped here. 2 weeks ago, we stopped at 32,167. Today's low was 32,305. Let's just go back to the daily. Okay, so what we have here is a pretty indecisive day, although, as I said, it closed on the high. We've been down here before. We were lower, higher low. Interesting. Also, the MACD looks like it's going to try a crossover back to the upside, which would be nice and would project the market higher. But 34,500 is an area of some reasonable supply, all the way up to 35, even up to 35,500. So I'm not sure what we're really looking at as an upside here. The NASDAQ was down 125, under 1%. Market internals on the NYSE were 1.4 to 1 on the downside, 1.6 to 1 on the downside in the NASDAQ, and volume was 5 billion, which was an increase from yesterday. So more volume on the downside than there has been on the upside, clearly. S&P was down about 50, finished down 18, so also not bad. The Russell down 462, probably pretty darn close to the high. And the transports were the only ones that were up 179.27, 1.18%. Oil traded as high as 115 today and as low as 105 and change, closed 106.02. And that chart is really interesting from the standpoint of we've been outside the Bollinger Band here the entire week and for 4 weeks running. That's usually a sign that we are really overextended. Hard to rely on the technicals when you have war news on a daily basis. But we have come down from 130. We closed at 106. Clearly, 100 would be an interesting place and a round number to start. But on a consolidation basis before moving higher, I could see it back around $96. The gold was up 1220 at exactly 2,000 spot 40. Bitcoin, which was down as low as 38,555, closed 39 630, and that was down 22.90. The dollar was up 55 cents at 98.50, and bonds, which have been quite a flight to safety trade, were down a point today. So if people are not looking for safety, the market has a shot of a rally here. Amazon, the 20-for-1 stock split. The stock traded as high as 3,145 before coming back in. It still closed up 150 at 29.36 and change, up 5.4%. But in point of fact, it was 200 off the high. Rivian missed earnings, had a loss, of course, missed revenues, gave poor guidance. This is a stock that's come from 179 to close the day at 41.16, which was a new closing low, down 279. And then after the earnings fell as low as 34.48, last is 35.50. That's down 8.45. Oracle was a miss on revenues and in line on earnings, and basically the stock did nothing. It traded higher and it traded lower. It had closed the day at regular hours before the earnings at 76.65, up 55 cents. Right now 76.76, up 60 cents, so not much there. ULTA, with a huge beat, both top and bottom line, had closed up $6 at 379 and change. Traded as high as 389, last is 382.20, and that's up 8.89 or 2.38%. DocuSign, with a beat on revenue, inline earnings, but horrendous guidance for the next quarter. The stock had been down 417 to close 93.88 before the numbers closed. Last is 78.22. That's down 19.96 or 20%. There was a very strong 30-year bond auction today, a lot of public participation, and the 10-year got solidly above 2, closed around 199 and change, so that was up about 2 basis points on the day. The 2-year was also up. All right, everyone. I'll be back first thing in the morning. The only news we have tomorrow, I believe, is consumer sentiment. Have a good evening.